Welcome to another Nonsense Wars GBC production. I said in the vertical stepper video that it would be my last such stepper, but shortly after editing the video, I suddenly realized how to fix it. With the first version, I really didn't like how the circling steps required an additional set of steps to load them, as that made the module as a whole more complicated and more ugly. While I could not think flexibly enough to figure it out before making my original video, I solved this problem and more by turning the first step assembly into a linear step and keeping the second step assembly as a circling step. I'm calling this version 2 rather than a new module because it fundamentally works the same way as version 1. Balls come off a step and roll up the side of said step before dropping on the next level. This mechanism hasn't necessarily changed, only its implementation. The new steps use a similar number but fewer types of parts, and the symmetric, not cantilevered construction should make them more sturdy. Most importantly, they can load directly out of the input bin thanks to the linear first step, and adding some studs to the side of this step helps agitate the balls. I think the new design also looks a lot better than the old one due to its reduced bulk and increased symmetry. I also reduced the pitch of the steps, the distance between each step, in order to decrease the radius of the cranks from 1.5 studs to just 1 stud. The corresponding decrease in tangential velocity combined with the enclosed form of the new steps allow them to run faster before throwing balls, so I can use the 1:5 gear ratio that I originally wanted to use. The easier to attain gear ratio combined with all of the steps connecting to one crank means that I can cut down the drivetrain to one reduction stage. The module still runs off an M motor, but it is no longer directional, as the movement of the second step relative to the first step is the same in both directions, only mirrored. Finally, the steps still balance themselves without additional counterweight, though they also require the out-of-phase connecting rod to prevent dead centering, which unfortunately uncenters the output ramp. Version 2 should also improve on the vertical extensibility of the module due to the fewer, smaller, and perhaps cheaper parts required by the new step assemblies. I used some clear windows in the second step to improve the visibility of the stepping action, but these could be regular 1x2 bricks. The limiting factor is probably load on the main crank, which unfortunately extends 8 studs between the supports. All that being said, after a couple false starts with the multi-stepper and version 1, I think this is a straight upgrade to my original extensible tower, being simpler, using fewer parts, and having better mechanism visibility. I don't anticipate it being any less reliable either, since it is fundamentally still a stepper. Overall, I'm quite happy with how this one finally turned out, and on that note, this is the end of the commentary.